Now, this is a little bit different than the normal roundtables that we do. No one is going to be able to see this roundtable until this is released to the members and Patreon supporters first. That is going to be around like 2 to 4 months from now. I at first, I want to give them the fact that they do support me, so I want to give them access to it, but I don't want them to be like, hey, and I don't want this to sound wrong. I don't want it to be like, hey, I didn't pay for the $100 ticket, but hey, a week after it, I can watch the whole thing. We ain't doing it like that. I think this is one of those moments, like, especially contrary to what I taught about. This is one of those moments. If you weren't there, watching the replay is not going to give you exactly how it was. And I just, again, I must say that I am just really, really proud, thankful, just to have all of y'all do this. And again, I could sit back and be like, man, I really wish it was more people. I could have been like that. But like I said, I believe this was a Gideon moment. We didn't need to have hundreds of thousands of people. I think the people that got it. Because look at what we got off of the 12, well, the 11, and then the new 12 replaced. How just the message has spread just because of 12, and I think that's what we got out of this. But again, this isn't me blabbing. This is what I wanted to hear. Out of everyone I see here, Scott and Tangela didn't teach. So I want to get from y'all, what was the highlight of what y'all got? What did you get out of it? What stuck out to you? Either one of y'all can go first.
I think just the passion everybody had for their topic and for just the media part, the technical parts and all were good to hear. And I got to go back and watch some stuff because I can't take it all in the first time through. But but yeah, just everybody's passion and for their topic and for media ministry and spreading the word was one of the main things I got out of it.
Awesome, awesome. Tangela?
Hello, can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yes, we can.
Okay, hi. You know what I really appreciated, Mr. West talking about the the volunteers, because I've got a volunteer and he does some of the same things he talked about doing. I was like, I need to get this because apparently he's not hearing me. Maybe he would hear somebody else. I'm like, on your phone? Are you kidding me? While we're trying to get this done. So that really, really resonated with me. And I really appreciate, hearing somebody else and knowing that somebody else is dealing with the same thing.
Yeah. And I think that's just the beauty of just this community. And again, yes, I'm bragging on y'all because there are a bunch of other communities that seem to just focus on the technical. And a lot of people are kind of don't want to share the heart, the ups and the downs that we all experience. It's like we always want to act like it's perfect all the time. That's why honestly, I really didn't want to edit out any of the, for the lack of better word, the gaffes everybody had. Everybody had them. And I think that humanizes us to the fact of, if everything was pristine, most people come in and like, I can't be that. I can't do that. I'm always having stuff wrong. What's the matter with me? But when we sit back and see, oh, some people missed their time. Some people had connection issues. Some people had audio issues. Some people had computer issues. It grounds us into saying like, hey, I don't need to be perfect. These people have been doing this for this long and they're having the same issue. Maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Maybe it's just the willingness to keep going in spite of the ups and downs is what unifies us into the same cause. What y'all think? Bruce, what about yourself, Mr. Man, look, I I jumped in. Man, it seemed like Bruce and Albert were like going in on me. Every time I saw a comment, it was like, well, AJ this, and I was like, what did I do? Because I would only catch. I'm getting a little bit, Bruce. I don't know if you muted because I saw you talking, but I couldn't hear you. Gotcha. But let's go around. I'm gonna go in the order that I see, and he had just joined, unless he's busy. Mr. Francisco, what? Look, we asked you to teach, and you just were preaching up a storm. What's going on?
Yeah, I missed the first part. I was trying to get, you said you asked me to.
No, I said I'm gonna start with the first person I'm seeing that's on here, and I said unless he's busy right now with the girls. I was like, Francisco, what we were talking about sharing, and then you were just like laying the smack down in ministry, preaching. You were just, giving judo chops to everybody across the head, across the face.
No, I mean, I just wanted to encourage God's people. I want to let the volunteers know that this is bigger than, because all of us, we've met people or seen people that just came there or be part of the ministry and just do laxical days of it, don't really care. I remember one particular person, what really triggered this is that at our conference that we had last year, Mike, you could probably remember this. There was time in the video, this guy was supposed to be doing the camera. The person walked off. This guy was on his phone. And you were paying attention. Why didn't you and so it was just like, this is, he didn't have a spirit of excellence with that. And so it's like, oh my goodness, you have these opportunities. And then I think, and also I think it was Otis that mentioned that some people was doing working in his in their ministry. And because they were faithful, they were good, and then an opportunity came up at some other ministry, and they recommended that person that was at their ministry, and they got the job. So because they were faithful and they had the right spirit and everything. So yeah. What, your mic fell off? Did you? Oh, well, everybody has it. Man, today I didn't even know I was in picture because
I was trying.
My wife was, and then I saw her got up and was like, and I didn't know what she was talking about. Then I looked like, oh my gosh, because it was crazy today, man. From this morning, I mean, we had everything set up and OBS, and then when we tested the live stream, it was all glitchy, and I'm like, oh my goodness. AJ called me, and I said, oh man, what's going on? And he said it's glitchy. So we thought maybe wasn't sure what it was. I said it couldn't have been the video bit rate. Then we checked, and the CPU usage on my wife's laptop was at 50%. I'm like, oh man, so I have to convert everything to the ATEM. And then once we did that, then I was supposed to be going to 4 o'clock, and I tried to get everything situated. I didn't have the display monitor from the ATEM in front of me, so it was off to the side. I thought I took picture-in-picture off. I had no clue that it was on. I'm like, oh man. Then I started off with the microphone. I was muted, didn't know I was muted, and I'm talking about.
So your message would have been like waving more if you weren't in picture. It would have been more impactful. I don't think so. It was awesome.
I didn't see it. So my wife, because she's the one that
No,
talks.
your message was awesome, man. The message was just great. Doesn't matter whether it was in picture. The audio was bang on.
Yeah, after we botched that up this morning, my wife, I used her as a guinea pig. So I knew she was going at 12. I was like, get all the kinks worked out. So I thought. But it was good though. It was really good. I want to go back and get a chance to check everybody else's, because it was, and then I'm sure you guys heard my daughters, and oh man, they were in a complete other room. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I saw AJ text, oh, the babies want to praise God. I'm like, oh man, this is too loud. This is too loud. So I had to go back in there and make sure the door was closed. It's like, oh man, now everybody's going to want to hear. Ah! That was my youngest one that was screaming loud like that. So it was great.
Francisco, I was watching it and I noticed the picture-in-picture, but absolutely took nothing away from it. It wasn't a distraction.
No, exactly.
And it
There was nothing distracting about that at all.
And then my wife texted me. I didn't, because I was so focused on the camera, I wasn't looking at no text. And I saw her got up, and I guess someone texted her about it, and I was like, oh gosh,
Yeah, I was telling your wife I was driving running up the street to Taco Bell to get something to eat, and I was just listening over the phone. And then when I got in front of the computer, I was like, oh, he must have just finished doing a presentation, because I see the picture-in-picture. So I was just like, whatever. And then I saw it, and then I switched. I was like, oh, I guess he probably left that on. But he just kept rolling. I was like, that's how you do it. Like I always tell my choir, nobody know you messed up until you make your scene like, oh man, I messed up.
Until you tell them.
Exactly. Yep.
You guys saw it. I told you. But it was great though. I can't wait to go back to see everybody else's because I caught a little bit of Mike's, but then I was going back and forth because you were right before me, so I was making sure trying to get my stuff set up. And Elder Rob, I heard him earlier. I wanted to go back and listen to him. I was telling my wife he's got one of those voices that I just want to go listen to him just for hear his voice because he got that smooth voice.
Come on, man. That's my radio announcer's voice. My
Yes.
radio announcer.
I told my wife, I told her, I said, he sounds like in the guy in the movie theater, like, all right, get your popcorn.
In a world.
Right. In a far, far galaxy from us.
Well, I mean, like I said, folks, I think I'm gonna play on something that I know is in agreement because Sister Rosin wants to just get all prophetic and talk about the same thing, but do you mind if we we actually use our imaginations and push it to the limit of speaking those things that are not as though they were? I think I really have. This ain't about the AJ show or nothing. I remember when I think I was telling Francisco and Rosalind about this, that I remember when I heard that same voice that told me to leave music and teach media, ask me to go to Richmond downtown. It's actually down the street from where I'm living at now, the Richmond Convention Center. And it was, that voice said, find out how much that costs. And in disobedience, I still have not called to find out what it is. Because this building can hold around the convention center, I think is about like 20 conference rooms. And I think it's like 100,000 square feet. And it can hold a lot. I mean, they have cars inside. They have the huge Lego Expo, all this other stuff, Comic-Con. And I really envision this whole thing being to the point of, just like Elder Rob, you were talking about it, of having a centralized room that is a keynote that people can come in and can just sit and stay there. But then they also have breakout sessions. And the vision of I envision this being is having enough, and this ties what you were saying, Roslyn, about having enough influence on YouTube to be able to put out a call and just imagine a church conference just like this in person with hundreds of thousands of people. But there are vendors there that the only way that you can get in is that you have to show and prove before you even can be admitted to be a vendor how your stuff caters to ministry. And when you come in, if Comcast and Verizon or somebody come in, it's one of those things we talk about, like, hey, we got a bunch of people that are in rural areas that you don't want to bring internet to, and you're trying to charge $50,000. If you come in, you need to remove that and put something in place to where that can be catered to. And we have enough clout and enough influence that we can help drive that stuff. And just imagine a convention to where it's a humongous floor space of vendors, cameras, and all the equipment that most ministries would never have an opportunity to touch, but they can get there. And they have a room set up as a mock media ministry booth with the latest and greatest that you can get your hands on with professionals to mix audio, to move cameras, to do all this other stuff. And then how do we reach back into the community? Hey, you got a choir, you got a praise dancers, you got musicians. You can come in and, for lack of a better word, perform in front of those cameras. And now you can professionally be recorded, professionally be video recorded, whatever. And we'll be able to put these groups on the map as a jumping off point while training media ministries at the same time, and being able to have these companies cater and speak directly to churches and be able to do that. But then the vision is that this can be signed up. This will be every year. It will be in different time zones, every country, so that people can be catered, so people don't have to drive all over the place. But the mindset is, if you come in this first time of your conference, you don't have a media ministry. We collaborate, and we have a course called the Media Ministry Assembly Line. You go through that whole thing, and when you leave this conference, you will be set up to have a media ministry. Then you come back the next year, you go through the second phase and it just moves you up. Whether you have no media ministry or something, you will be elevated in some way, shape, or form when you leave that conference. That's the vision of this, going to where there's a place that is not just from the technical, but just like today, you can go take the technical classes, but it's going to be more, how can I use the technical for ministry more than anything else? Not just selling you a camera, not just selling you internet, but getting the mindset of why am I doing this in the first place? And being able to transform the media ministry back to what you were saying, Francisco, of like, we have a responsibility with what we're doing here. This isn't just I'm getting here because this is the area on the second floor that I can get away from the church and hide. No, I want to be here because I'm front row in the battle to being able to share the message of Jesus Christ other than being a preacher. That's what I want, the vision of this conference, being able to train people in the right way, not just the technical, but to have the heart and the mindset of why we're doing it in the first place. Any thoughts? Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was just asking somebody had the thoughts.
What is holding you back from knocking on the vendor's door and having to walk around and get sticker shock? I mean, sticker shock is bad until we start attacking it. So, it may be a year out, it may be 3 years out.
Well, honestly, not really. The only thing that's stopping me is time and just having my hands on way too much stuff. That's the only reason. So it's not about fear of what it might cost or something like that. I mean, I can just say no, and they can just say no. That doesn't hurt. I mean, because they're in the business of, like, if I come in there saying, hey, it's a church media conference that we have with over 3,300 media ministries from all over the world, that would bypass anything right there. So it's mainly just the time to be able to get down there and get somebody on the phone and talk to them. Because like I said, it's literally down the street from me. But what I do realize with this, and I think the West can agree, or anybody who's ran a conference, we need a whole lot more logistics. We need a technical support team. We need we need to have standbys. Like, again, I understand people had emergencies that popped up, but this is one of those things that we need to have some, some rams in the bush that, a class got canceled, something came up. Hey, you on deck. You weren't ready, but I'm ready, Anything else? Like I said, I don't want this to be me. I want to really get what are y'all's takeaway? The good, the bad, and the ugly, whatever it is. Praise reports, bad reports, whatever.
AJ, one quick question. I missed the point. What's down the street from you?
The Richmond Convention Center.
Oh, Convention Center. Okay.
Anybody else got anything jump out?
In my opinion, I think, this was a bold move in a new era to do all of this virtually. And I thought that it took a lot of thought work. It took a lot of preparation, not only on the behalf of the technical aspect, but also on behalf of the theological and biblical aspect. When you're bringing a bunch of people together that really don't know each other and expect everybody to perform in a manner to something being successful, that takes a lot of prayer and it takes a lot of preparation. I mean, I'm probably the newest to the group, and I know you, AJ, but I don't really know everybody else. But when God is in something, he allows it to work. And that's the key. As long as we keep God in the forefront. And I said it in my presentation, that technology is great, microphones and all that stuff is great, all the equipment is great. But when the electricity goes off, does the word stop? No, the word should still go forth in the absence of technology, but technology is the conduit to get the word out. So I haven't had an opportunity to listen to everybody, but it's my goal to go back and listen to everybody. I got a piece of Rosalind, and I'm on my way to Florida where I'll get heading for vacation. But I heard some of hers, but I'm going back to listen to the rest of it. But I could definitely tell that the Spirit had his hand in this conference. And like you said, AJ, the ones that needed to hear it will hear it. And the ones that didn't hear it when they do hear it, they'll wish they had heard it when it was fresh. So I kudos to everybody. Like I said, it took people's time. I mean, I got up early this morning and I had technical issues too. For some reason, my camera stopped working and I had to reboot my computer like 2 minutes before everything. So real life stories, real life challenges, but in the end, God took care of all of us.
Yep. And just to give you a half a second, I'm going to show directly where I am, but I'm right there, and that convention center is literally
I don't see anything.
right there.
Oh, now I see it.
So if I zoom out, I'm that blue dot right there, and that convention center is right there. That is the whole thing. So, and again, I've been to conferences there, and I've been to LegoCon with my daughter and stuff like that. I mean, that can easily hold 100,000 people. But just really, really excited about what it can do, and just, I mean, I just think that, at least from me jumping in, that what I got out of this is that if people went to this thinking it was only technical, they fooled themselves, because it was so much more than just the technical, I mean, and then we just, that's, it's enough of me talking. Let me get some more from Tangela. I don't know, G. Albert. I hope you're feeling better. I know you popped in some other stuff. Just want to get from the viewers. What did y'all get out of this? What jumped out to you? I know we got from Scott. Let's go around Tangela, then Mr. Albert.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Oh, I guess I'll start. It took me a little while to get through. This morning, or this weekend, I tried to get in, and then this week I tried to get in, but then this morning I wasn't able to get in until about 1 o'clock. I was having technical hurdles with my borrowed equipment or my piece together equipment in Canada, and then the logistics as far as working around the site. It just took me a little while to, like when Rosalind says something like, well, I'll read the comments. I'll read the comments. I says, well, what comments? I didn't know that you needed to hit that little, you need to first get out of full screen mode. And then you needed to, once you got out of full screen mode, then there was the chat button. If you hit the chat button, then you can see what other people were talking about. But it took me listening to her, thinking that she was responding to somebody, and I just couldn't find it. And I didn't know that that's what to expect, because that's the first time I've been on Vimeo. And then the recorded sessions, I would recommend, that folks do like what you do on some of your post-production edits, and put comments in, like Rob, I think, was mentioning something about closeout, or I never heard that term before. And so I had to put on transcription to find the word to get to where he was at. And the tools were nice and easy to work with, but I learned a lot myself through this conversation.
Awesome.
And Rosalind, you like me picking on your husband, right?
All right, Tangela. Yeah, Tangela. How's everything? What you get out of it?
Hello. Yeah, so actually I was sitting here at my desk this morning and AJ popped up on YouTube and I totally had forgotten that it was today. And so and then Ms. Rosalind talking about how when the Lord says do something, to do it, which is what I was in the middle of doing. I'm writing a book on caring for aging loved ones. So I was kind of doing that all day today, trying to get that completed and trying to multitask because I got a convention coming up next week. but it was a lot of good information. And like I said, the West really, what they talked about, I could really resonate with that. And especially starting and doing stuff, that and I think if we really trust God like we say we trust him, when he says move, we'll move, um and we'll know, or we'll believe that if we take one step, he'll take he'll move for us. I too started out, with a camera, a cell phone or whatever, and kind of like AJ, I just keep buying stuff. Just give me a reason to buy something. Give me a reason to try a new piece of equipment. But you can really get inundated with trying to learn all of everything that comes with trying to put this together. So I really appreciate that. And then of course the course on presenter, I use that. I actually use it for, I end up having to upgrade to the pro plan because I was assistant pastor in a church in Tennessee for a little while. So I would go there and do the presentation and doing praise and worship, doing running it from my phone, from the presentation app on my phone with it on a computer over there, and then come back to Texas and do it, for the church in Texas. And like some of the other folks, you know, fortunately, I did get the message today for tomorrow, but sometimes it's Sunday morning before I get the topic of the message. Before I get the topic of the message and the scriptures and all that, and I'm like, come on, are you for real? But it happens, and that's something that we deal with, and we just kind of go with it because we know that if we don't do it, I mean, the choice is to say no. We're not going to take anything at the last moment. But if you're anything like many of us on this call today, you're not going to let it fail. So, or you're not going to let it look good. You're going to do whatever it takes to make it look good. So it comes, and the right thing is to just have it all set up as much as possible, because I get to church most Sunday mornings, pretty much every Sunday morning, about an hour and a half prior to, because that Sunday I might be doing the audio visual. I hope my help will come in. And most time he does, but if not, I might be doing that. I might be doing praise and worship, and I might be preaching. And I am not the pastor. So, I can appreciate everything that everybody does here. And thanks again for this opportunity to learn a little bit more.
Awesome. All right, let's start with Mike. Mike, what jumped out to you? With because you taught on the first conference. This your second go around around the sun when it comes to this conference. What do you see? What was the difference between first time, this time, and what jumped out to you?
Just really preparation was key, but still you do as much as you can to prepare, and there's still stuff that comes, but you never give up. You roll with whatever happens. And this, like, I remember last time what I had to just completely give up and then do it next time, because I had to, like, what I did was it just didn't work, and I had to, like, regroup and do it the next time that we did it. But this time I was like able to figure out what the issues were and just continue on with doing things. So probably with experience of just like figuring out things on the fly, that definitely helps, I guess, with experience and stuff, and all the issues that everyone has. You never like give up. You just like fix things and go, and everything with all of the live streams, you just keep working on stuff and fix things on the fly is something that always continue to do that. Never give up.
Awesome. I'm gonna go to the old heads who are here. This is their second go around. So the next one, Francisco, same question. How does it compare from the first time to this time? What stands out to you? Good, bad, ugly,
Well, for
praise?
me, I think on the first go round, it was, you didn't see, at least I didn't see or recall more of the live problems that we had. Like, for example, you guys saw stuff my wife and I was going through. You heard our daughters back there talking. you, I mean, you saw the stuff that all the little glitches that we encountered, and Mike is always like on point, and then his audio was acted up, and so it was just like we saw a lot of things that I didn't get a chance to see. Elder Robs or some of the other people earlier, I didn't get a chance to see that, to see if they had any problems while it was live. But that was one of the things that stood out to me. And another thing that also stood out is that I kind of like the format. You know, when we had the classrooms, and I think we had the classrooms last time, right? Did we have the classrooms last time?
Yeah, we
I
had to
think.
throw that in there after the company we had to make the website kind of like fell through.
Oh
We
yeah,
do
that's
all
right.
this together.
And so I like the classroom format where, you know, if someone wants to listen to this teaching, they can go listen to this, and how it's spread out, and the various subjects too. That was really, even I think we had that last time, but I don't remember it being as wide or as broad of a subject. And also too, it was so interesting hearing how some of the people's messages were tying together. Like I heard some of Elder Rob's, I'm like, oh my goodness, you're getting my wife's message. I didn't tell her anything. I just heard a little bit of it, and I was like, wow, this is some good stuff. And then Mike's, I really want to get into, because he did the thing on was it Champion?
Bit companion.
I mean, Big
Companion.
Companion. Oh,
Yeah.
and breaking it down and giving us a live demonstration. That was cool. I thought that was really cool when you were giving a live demonstration. So I can't wait to go back and actually watch everything, um, and how you were going through the different scenarios, and it really helped us to see, oh wow, you can actually do this, and he was doing that with this. So again, I can't wait to go back and listen to everybody else's broadcast or session, I should say.
All right. Roslyn? Now I know you didn't. I don't recall. You didn't teach last time, right?
No, this is my first year teaching.
Okay. So
Yeah, I was pregnant last time, so I wasn't even
wait a minute. So I know. Hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt. So we need to be careful. We can't have another conference because it was last time. It was like it was pregnant, and then it was another baby in between. It's like we don't
I
come
think
back and it
both
actually
times,
gonna
the
be
only
three.
few times you had it, I think I was pregnant both times. So I practically missed it because I was just tired. But
So how does that? How does it now? You know, watching, being a part of it, and this is again. I say this not just to have bodies teaching, but being someone who watched it last time and actually teaching. Is it really as hard as we make it out to be? Because I mean, I say this because it's like everybody has a skill that somebody is hungry to learn from. And that's why I really want this to be a platform of like, hey, you ain't got to go out there and build a YouTube channel, Instagram, blah 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 to get a lot of people. The idea is like, hey, we got a bunch of people here, and now it's like, hey, y'all, here's a bunch of people, teach, because I want y'all to shine because you do shine. I just want to give you an opportunity to do that. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on the fact that, I mean, Randy, you always preaching all the time, so I know that ain't going to be nothing different. But I mean, how is this for those who are here that didn't teach? What's that kind of encouragement, or what was your perspective of that?
absolutely, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about that everyone has their specific thing that they're really good at, their specialty. Everyone has their specialty. I think that that's the key. I think if everyone leans into their specialty, then it's a joyous occasion, right? You asked me to talk about Big Companion. I mean, y'all will be lost and wrong. But you asked me to talk about something that I'm passionate about, that I know about, and that's the key. One of the things that stood out to me in regards to the question you just asked, as I was preparing, I was kind of thinking to myself, now, a few years ago, when I first met you, I first met the group, I didn't consider myself a media person. I'm like, I'm not a media person. I never worked in the booth. I never did anything like that. But being with my husband and continuing to trudge on, I now do video editing, audio editing, you know, and even as I was preparing, I was like, I wonder if anybody's teaching anything on Audacity. Maybe I'll teach about Audacity next time or something like that. But, you know, it's just, it's not difficult. Anyone can do it. I think you find your niche. And I think that definitely with what you're saying, I think the really important thing is that it's another showcase of the richness of the body of Christ, right? That understanding that everybody has value. God's been really challenging me with that in this season, especially when it comes to like ministry and ministering the gospel. Really trying to birth in me a sincere understanding that everybody has value. We look at people and we be like, but everybody has value. So I think perhaps the person who's thinking like, I don't know, I couldn't do that. You have to recognize that you have value as well. What is that valuable piece that you can bring to us that's going to catapult us forward?
Awesome. And I thought I was on mute, but I turned down my stuff because I didn't see it move. So let's we'll come back. But
May I make a few more comments?
Yeah.
I can do it later.
Oh yeah, you can go ahead.
If you want to go around. So I was still on the first question. I had jotted down my takeaways.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, it's just all the vision. It's God's vision. But it's just awesome. And again, I just want to thank you for just spearheading this movement. But I really love the fact it was always exciting, but I really didn't get to participate in the past. So this was the first year that I really got to participate. I was awake, I was cognizant, I was not pregnant. I could be everywhere and take care of my house. I love the fact that there was such a variety of information. You had AI, you had just basic practical technical aspect, you had the spiritual aspect. That was really awesome. And something really stands out to me really about how you have cultivated this community as well. I think it was Rob who said to bring people together, not really knowing them and expect them to perform at their peak, or at everybody, to follow like a custom line standard. I think that goes in line with just how you have cultivated this community. I think you have cultivated a community of people that and brought like-minded people together who want to give their best and do their best. Some things that stand out to me that I loved the graphics folder that you gave us. That was really cool. And then even as I was looking at everybody's presentation, seeing how they infused what it was that you gave us to create their piece, that was really unique. Did you guys do that last year?
Yeah, we had Jaleel and the other two names are escaping me. I remember them. And Marcus and someone else. They had the graphic designers had put some stuff together.
Oh wow! And Jaleel's awesome. I'm not familiar with Marcus, but Jaleel he's really powerful at what he does. What I was thinking was perhaps maybe not for everybody, but maybe for the insular group who paid for the experience, creating like a networking spreadsheet where someone can say they can highlight whatever it is that they feel like is their strength to highlight, but then we can go back and we can make connections with these people, like say, you know what I mean? I need some help with my AI. Well, I can go through the list and be like, okay, well, maybe I should connect with this person. And there was one other thing that came to mind when you were speaking earlier I just wanted to throw this out there. I don't know, maybe God's commissioning you to like create it. I don't know. But I was on a call one day and this gentleman was sharing that he's a part of a group. It's called the Collaborative. And he explained that the whole objective of the collaborative is that he said it's about 12 different people, 12 different members from all around the world. They usually meet at a central location in the United States. He said they meet once a year and the whole objective is to come there full, but to leave there empty. So he said when they gather around the table, the whole objective is simply, how can I help you get to your next? Who can I connect you with? What is it that you need? What is it that you're missing? What can I give you to help you, do what it is that you're doing more successfully? And that stood out when you were talking about the conference. You were talking about your vision for how you want to give back to the community, et cetera, and so forth. Is that whole perspective of the collaborative.
Awesome. Now, just going into that, let me take a half a second. So I don't know if y'all had a chance to, well, actually, no, y'all can't do it because I've been uploading the stuff to YouTube, but it's been set to private. But just to take some of the skills that y'all have been teaching in this stuff, let me show you what we were doing, what I was doing behind the scenes in here. And Francisco, yours is the last one that I actually did. So I came in here to Chat GPT and I said, please write a first person YouTube description in 2 paragraphs based off of this video. And it's like, hello, welcome to my video on media ministry volunteer to expectation. In this session, I'll be discussing the key roles and responsibilities of volunteers in the media ministry volunteering. And it's like using the AI to summarize everybody's stuff. And that was what we have in the description for all of I don't have any issue with showing y'all here because y'all were actually there. So we come in here. Let's go behind the scenes. So was uploading everybody's video in here in the 2024 playlist that's going to be opened up. Like I said, I'm going to put a date when it's going to be available for everybody to see it. But that's what everybody's stuff was that we were able to use. Sometimes it picked up people's names. Other times it didn't. Like this one, it picked up Augustine Cruz and Excited talking about this. And it just summarized all this other stuff. And it just shows that the actual real life, you just taught it. We just learned it, application of what this can be used right now. So the one thing I would admonish before we go to anybody else, don't just let this be, man, this was great stuff. This was great stuff we heard. That was awesome. Put it to work. Put it to work. Not next week. Put it to work now. Because all of us are getting ready to, either you had a service, you're getting ready to go into service, or you're getting ready to go into another service next week. What can we learn and make applicable in what was being taught? Is it just a mindset, how we walk into church tomorrow and being intentional? Or are we going to go like Bruce and like, you know what? Hey, he showed Vizio. He showed a bunch of all these other programs. He broke out the paper and pencil with a camera. Do we need to start documenting everything that we have in place? Hey, or like Elder Rob, you know what? Maybe we need to not do it the same way. And maybe we need to actually take some scales off our eyes and look at it in a different perspective. Hey, you know what? I'm tired of running back and forth. Maybe I need to download and put that Bit Companion in place and maybe just not do all of the stuff that Mike showed, but maybe just one, just to see how much it can enhance. Because we all know, it's never going to be perfect the first time, but you got to start somewhere. Start with what you got, and I think that's one of the best things about it, as well as Chris, when he was talking about audio engineering when it comes to in the modern church, Augustine with making clips and how to do this. And everybody has some type of video editor. You got it on your phone, why not try this stuff? Because that's the more you do it, we learn by failure, not just being successful all the time. I think that's the one thing I would say. Don't let this be just a one moment type of thing. Make it applicable. Use something that you learned as soon as possible, as in like when we get off the Zoom, if you possibly can, if you haven't used it already. Who else do we go to? Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Hey, AJ, can I respond? Can I respond to that too, real quick?
Yeah, Rob, because I was going to call on you and then back to Rosalind.
Okay. To your point, you're right. We have to remember that, what we're doing, we have to not only just do it one time, we got to continually do it. For myself, I've rebooted my podcast, and that prepared me to be able to, to do the things that I needed to do. And of course, I teach and I preach in my church and stuff like that. But for the average person, don't let this be the only time that you have an opportunity to do this. I was full, when I left out of the conference, especially after hearing Rosalind. And I'm going to, like I said, go back and hear everybody else. But this is ministry, and ministry is not just a one-time thing. It's a lifelong thing. I've been in the ministry for over 25 years, and I'm still moving forward. The Bible clearly tells us that, God, and he made some pastors, some teachers. So there's a fivefold ministry out there. You need to find what your ministry is and move and walk in that ministry, and don't let your ministry get stuck. A lot of times we see that ministries get stuck because they're not moving as God wants them to move. So, I'm a firm believer that, even now with the e-ministry and even at the e-missionary and the e-church, we have a platform that's broader than anything that we've ever seen before. The TV evangelists back in the 60s and the 70s, they were doing it on TV. And I said this on the one of the podcasts I was a guest on. Now we have that same platform and can reach even more people than the TV evangelists can, because if you weren't in their area, you didn't get their program. But guess what? The internet's in everybody's area. So that's our responsibility as an e-missionary, and to make sure we continue to touch those that won't come to church, that can't come to church, or refuse to come to church because they was hurt by the church. That is the genre, or the niche of people that we have to minister to.
Awesome. Awesome.
Man, that was a mouthful right there. But I was going to say, I also saw, like, I envisioned as I was watching everyone's teachings, pulling, like Augustine said, like pulling those clips out to really push the conference, like purchasing the replay. I think for me, in our marketing, I think one of the benefits of this conference is that if you bought the replays, I mean, you can take this back to your team. You can take this back to your church and say, hey, we're going to do a 6-week series and we're going to upgrade our modern media ministry. We have all the pieces. Let's just camp down and meet and look at these. So I don't know if that's something that you considered, or perhaps something that the group could help you with, like pull out some clips. But as I was watching, I felt like, in any teaching you see, you always like, oh, that'd be a good short. But I think that could really, because the unique thing about this conference is you didn't have to be there in person. To still, be able to get a hold of the teachings and the replays. So perhaps you could continue to push and spread the word through those clips. Like, oh man, I missed that. I want to see that.
Awesome. Now let me before we cycle back, I like to do some dream casting and giving some people some ideas and some stuff. And just to show you kind of like what Rob was saying and everybody else, it's great that what we're doing, but it's still so much more work that we have to do. So for the tech nerds out here, I'm going to get y'all excited if you haven't known this already. What I'm showing you right now is currently the availability of broadband internet through Starlink. That's who is available right now. Almost global. So the option now, and if I zoom in on the United States, we have tiny pockets that internet is not available. So just imagine now I don't want to say excuse like it's a bad thing, but the excuse that we don't have good internet is going to be gone. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is Starlink has started to launch cellular satellites, meaning that this is global internet access. They're going to be starting up a global cell phone network to where your cell phone can now work globally anywhere. What's going to happen now when it's like, oh, I don't have the cameras, I don't have the equipment, but now your cell phone, not just with Facebook and YouTube, is now global, that anybody can reach literally anyone now. And it just shows how much more. Now, that's great with the technology, but what's the point of this? Is to teach how to minister with this technology. So the excuses are being removed of I don't have this, I don't have that. It's literally just like with COVID all over again. It's not an excuse now. Their technology is being pushed in your direction to have access to everything. So now it's just a willingness of how do I decide to use it. And I think I got to be careful how I say this. And it's an old statement that it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. I think, and I can just say me, there ain't nobody on Antioch on here, so I can say this. Antioch, when I was trying to do this, they didn't have a vision from the top down. They did not have a vision of sharing the message throughout the world. This was, and hopefully y'all don't know people like this, but I know this is true. There's a lot, the church is hung up on victim mentality. They'd rather give praise to what we can't do instead of looking for the opportunities of what we can do. That's why you have churches that have the building fund, the perpetual building fund, but they ain't building nothing. They're just building up interest, but they're not spending it on anything. The reason I say that is with wisdom, we have to sometimes forge out and make a new path when everyone is telling us that we're crazy. That's not how we've done it. What would the church, what would the board, we need to go through the church board to do this and this, this and this. When God calls us, God didn't, I haven't said this in a long time. When God called you, they didn't call a Zoom meeting. He called you. And if he's giving somebody a vision for that, you have to push forward. And I'm saying this not to dislocate my arm and pat myself on the back, but it was hard to step out and do this when everyone, and I said this on the last roundtable, you don't see my family on here. I'd probably, even if I came up with the cure for cancer and able to put oxygen in space, I probably still family wouldn't say nothing. It wouldn't be enough. You know, I'm saying that not to ask for sympathy, but just to say that this is how it is. I had to get to the point where, as much as I wanted a pat on the back, can you keep going even when you don't have it? Can you forge forward when the people that you respect and love and want their approval from don't give it to you? The reason I say that is not to be scared or nothing like that, but to go based off of what Rosalind was saying in that prophecy. Somebody's going to have to go, and it is going to be a lonely trip. But are you going to keep doing it? Because there are tens, hundreds, there are millions of people counting on, are you going to keep going and step out in that little hunch that passed through your mind when everybody else in your ministry, when your bank account is telling you you can't do it? Are you going to do it? You know? So I don't know where that came from, but I mean, I just think that this is not just a one-off thing. This can be a launch pad into bigger and better things, because a bunch of y'all have said this. It's just like the first conference, is a unified theme without us planning a unified theme. So that means that there's a collaboration. There's something in place here that's bigger than all of us. Because what was it? Martin Luther King, somebody else says, align yourself, I'm paraphrasing, align yourself with a dream that's so big that it's impossible for you to do it, and God has to get involved. Then we know we're doing something. There's a book, and I don't recall who named the book. It's 3 types of goals. There's A goals, B goals, and C goals. If anybody's heard this, let me know. A goals and B goals are what most people focus their attention on. An A goal is, I'll use me for example. My goal is to buy a Cybertruck. Okay, that's not a big deal, AJ. You already have owned a Tesla. A goal is you know how to do it. It doesn't push you. You just got to put effort, and you already know how to do it. A B goal is, man, I want to travel to Canada. And say I've never traveled to Canada, but I know Mike. I know somebody I can reach out to who can get me that information. That's a B goal. A C goal is, I have no idea how it's going to do it. I don't know anybody I can talk to get it to do. That's the type of goals that the body of Christ does not fall on. That's, you don't have the ability. You don't know anybody that has the ability to do it. But are you bold enough to still write the vision and make it plain? Not write the plan, write the vision for it to happen. So I'm talking too much.
I think, when it comes to context and Bible, interpretation, the Bible says we being many are one. But what we do is we flip that and say we being one are many. So we try to be a jack of all trades and think that we can build a silo around ourselves and get it done when we need each other. The Bible tells us, what about if your eye tells your other eye, I don't need you? Then your single vision, or your ear says, I don't need my ears. So we have to realize that we are in this together, and it takes a village. We need to go back to the old way. It takes a village to raise children, and stop breaking down silos. You see companies are doing it all the time. They're trying to break down all these silos and fiefdoms and try to get the community back, get everybody working together, and get rid of the big I's, get rid of the big U's, and if there is no I in team, teamwork it takes everybody. So that's my thought process on that.
Anybody else?
Yes, I wanted to contribute to that along with what you said, we have to recognize as the body of Christ that if God said it, it is so. It's already been established in heaven. So that means if God gave you the download, he gave you the vision to do something, it has to come to pass. No one and nothing can stop you. They can say no, and my husband always laughs. I say those all the time, but if you can't go through the door, you might have to climb through the window. Or maybe you have to go break down the back wall and go through the back wall. But if God said that you're going to do it, you have to recognize that there must be a way for it to get done. So now I have to go back to the Father for the next steps of how to do it. But you can't give up. You got to push, you got to push through and do it. And in line with what Brother Rob was saying, another place where God's really been dealing with me in this season is just recognizing, it's what he was saying to me is like a warrior can win a battle, but it takes the army to win the war. And so sometimes, within the body of Christ, we're like, well, we're doing what we're supposed to do as a ministry, even as your collective ministry, like we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're going out, we're evangelizing, we're doing this, but it's not just that. It takes each and every segment of the body of Christ doing what they're supposed to do to accomplish God's greater mission for the world. So I'm in agreement with that whole aspect of we can't be an island unto ourselves, but we do have to operate as an army and not just singular warriors. And then let me just say this as well. When you do get that mentality where you're just like, I'm a warrior fighting this battle. That's why there's burnout. That's why there's people frustrated and wanting to throw in the towel and wanting to give up because you're trying to do it in your own strength. And if you had to just connected with and partnered with certain people, half of the energy that you utilize, you wouldn't even have had to do that.
Yeah, and I don't recall who was saying this in one of their talks, but it's an old statement. It was too many. I think it was Bruce. It was either you or Rob. I don't recall. But I think the issue is we are so prideful that I just want to be a good Indian right now. I don't need to be the chief in this section. If Tangela's got the plan, let me be the best soldier to implement her plan. She's got it. She's supported me when I was the head. She's the head in this one. Let me help. Let me help contribute to that. And I don't need to have the spotlight on me right now. It's like, that's how we move forward. It's like, look, let me push you forward and be your support when you're going in this direction, with the hope, not the expectation. There's a difference. With the hope that when it's my turn, that you're going to do it. Because when you have an expectation, that means that somebody owes you. And I don't want anybody to feel that, oh, you're doing this because I'm going to have one. No. I'm wanting to support you because I like the vision and I want to support you. There's no strings attached. And I'm hoping that I have a kindred spirit here, that when it's my time, that I'll get that support too. And it's like you're saying, let the left hand not know what the right hand is doing. Look, I'm going to give you support. I don't need to worry about if you're going to back me. I'm going to give you support because I'm going to give you support. That's it. You know? And I think that's the whole case. And we've already talked about it. Mike is supporting the West in their conference as much as I wanted to. I've been busy. I want to go do some praise and worship with y'all, but every time that they've called, I've been busy. But it's not, no, I ain't helping you. You ain't paid me. No, it ain't about that. It's about, hey, we're about trying to do some kingdom business, and are we available to help? Can we make time to help? And we make time to help whenever we can. And don't have an expectation of like, you owe me type stuff. I think when we look back at the Tower of Babel, it was nothing the matter with that when they were in one accord. If we can accomplish anything in one accord, and especially what we're accomplish is kingdom mindset, not trying to be our own gods and stuff like that, there is nothing that we can't accomplish. But I think the issue is, can we get over the fact that I want to outshine everybody? Because that's the same thing that got Lucifer in trouble, you know? Can we be happy
Right.
with the fact that the kingdom is winning, not I am winning? You know?
See, y'all need to come to our conference at the end of the year. That's what we talking about. In October 11th and 12th in Virginia, Charlottesville.
And that's a hop, skip, and a jump away from here.
Yeah, same for me.
Come on
I mean,
down.
send me the information. I'll be there.
Absolutely. Just jot it down on your calendars. We'll be having our 4th annual On a Mission for the Great Commission Conference, Friday and Saturday, October the 11th and the 12th. We're going to be at Harvest Church of God. It's in Charlottesville, Virginia. I think on East Rio Road. I gotta find the information, but I'll jot down our website. You guys can sign up for our email blast, and we can certainly send you more information when we get it. But Holy Spirit, I was going to say something. What did you just say? Yes, about the people. Okay, that's what I was going to say about the fact that, you know, someone was what I was going to say was, I was going to chime in and say is that that's a place that requires a lot of inner work, and you have to first be humble before God. And that's the place. I don't know. I just was going to throw it out and say that. Everybody's looking like they're waiting for something. That was it. But you know, like, that's the place where God has really challenged us in this season. And that's what a part of the work that we'll be doing in the conference this year. But just recognizing that we all have to go to the feet of Jesus and allow him to examine us, to reveal so he can heal. We have to, and especially in the United States, I can't speak for other countries, but there seems to be this ideology that is no longer necessary. It's no longer necessary to self-examine or allow, you know, God to reveal things to you because of Jesus's blood redemption. But it's still necessary. And unless we do that, like you said, those places are going to be perpetuated.
Mm, I that I think that's the other issue. Like I said, I've been unsubscribing from a lot of stuff because a lot of people that I used to follow are now talking a whole lot of political stuff, and I'm just like, you building Lego sets. Why are you talking about political stuff? You know, I say that to say that there's a lot of political people claiming Christianity. I don't think they know how to spell the Bible. Because I don't know how you can say somebody from Georgia that can say that I serve a living God. That's who I serve. But in the next breath, you're cussing out the reporter. I don't know how that works. So the reason I say that is I am admonishing ministries. This is almost like a Jesus moment with the parables. Like people come to hear the parables, but people really want to hear the detail. They come to the Zoom meetings. That's why I think when Jesus had it back behind the scenes, that was before Zoom was there. That's what he was calling it. But what I really think is my goal is to encourage everyone to and show them that there's no excuse that you can live stream, which I know everybody's not going to do it. Because again, our calling is not to convert everybody to accept Jesus Christ. It says for everyone to know of it. So their excuse of saying I've never heard is gone. It's not for us to convert. It's for us just to share the message of Jesus Christ so they cannot say that they're ignorant to it. My goal is to show everybody it doesn't cost millions of dollars to live stream. That removes people's excuses. So now the people who actually do it are going to be the ones that, hey, we're going to do a little bit more and just put a camera in the back. The real people that actually do it are going to be the ones that use this as a ministry tool, not as I need to keep up with St. John's Baptist Church. You know, it's going to be the people who actually use it. And why do I say all that political stuff? Because we need more people teaching the truth and not this fake Christian crap that everybody is saying. The stuff that, oh, I serve God, but I'm cussing somebody out in the next minute. I believe that, oh, Jesus would be done with gay people and they would do that. And you put all this segregation on people when Jesus loved everybody. He did not like the sin of people, but he was open to everyone. As Mary Magdalene, he's like, hey, hold on. Hey, I know you want this, but look, you just laid with somebody who won't even your husband, but I'm still going to minister to you. I'm still gonna work with you. I'm still gonna talk with you. I'm not gonna be like, oh, you can't come into the church because you claim to be a man when you're a woman, or you're a woman to be a man. When we segregate people like that, what if God separated us like that? Oh, no. You're not perfect yet, so I'm not gonna talk to you unless you're perfect. No, God and Jesus, the relationship that we need to help people understand is I can't be perfect without him. So why is the church and people teaching this false doctrine of you need to be perfect before you can come? And I think the sad thing about it is, and we've talked about it before, nobody wants to pick up a Bible, and they have abdicated responsibility to the pastor. And if, oh, I believe the pastor has a good relationship with God, so I'm going to take this man or this woman's word as if it was God's and never investigate it for myself. Granted, I'm 45 years old. I know the difference between horse manure and chocolate cake, but some people don't. And they will just, oh, you say that you're a minister and you just say something that sounds ministerial, then I'm just going to believe it. No. It's about us showing ministries to be out. I'm not going to just tell you to follow my church. I want to teach you to understand and have a relationship so that you will be able to discern if this apple is rotten or not that you're hearing. Because other people are just like, Oh, what? Just like the rich young ruler. What do I need to do to inherit the kingdom of God? Oh, I've done this, this, and this. People have a checklist mentality. I've done this, and that's it. No, that's not it. That's not it. And I think a lot of people have been swindled in what it takes to be a Christian. Think just because you're saved that your life is going to be perfect and you're not going to have anything like this. God's your genie. You can ask for anything and everything's no, that's not the truth. That's not the truth. And I think we have an uphill battle to teach people the harsh truth that's actually going to save them until they get to the end of their life thinking, oh, I thought I just had to be a good person. And why y'all keep
Man,
letting me talk?
you are talking some serious stuff, and you know you hit some triggers that have been weighing on my heart for a long time. I believe in the 21st century church, teaching is not happening. Not in all churches, but teaching has gone away because nobody wants to hear about the harsh stuff. They just want to know about the prosperity. They want to know about the healing. But they have to realize that when Jesus walked the earth, he was deity, he was kingship, you know, he was a son of God. And, you know, but he stuck with the people. He didn't go to the people that were well. He went to the people that were sick. And we got to realize that there are sick people in the church, and there are people in the church going to hell. And the reason, and I don't mean to be so blunt, but the reason for it is because there's not being anything taught. And teachers have a big responsibility. The Bible tells us that we are to rightly divide the word of God. And I don't think in our church, in a lot of churches, that the word is being rightly divided. You know, church has become a circus. It has become a spectacle. It has become a thing of who's got the best singers, who's got the best praise team, who has the Hammond organ with the B3 Hammond organ with the Leslie, who has the Nord or you know, it's become commercial. Church has become commercial now, and it's all about how many people you can pack in a sanctuary. And then when that one person leaves, you're not worried about that one person because you got 499 other people. Oh, we don't worry, somebody replace that. But Jesus said that if one sheep go astray, he goes after the one. And if we can just get back to that mentality, then the church will be moving in the right direction.
And honestly, Elder Rob, that's why I think is really, I've seen more churches that have a small congregation do more movement than the ones that are big. Because those smaller ones are used to, hey, I only got 2 people in the congregation. So I'm a preach or whatever. So it's not about the numbers to them. You know, I've seen way too many ministries that are like, oh, I want to keep my numbers high. I want to keep, it's like, who cares about the numbers? And that's why I said it, like, if that's what your focus is, get on Zoom and invite people, change your name from whatever church to First Baptist Country Club, because that's what it is. It's not a church. And that's what it said the same way. And again, everybody don't receive this. I understand that people have different callings and stuff like that. But I believe that if you have the opportunity is presented to you to live stream, you have another congregation that you need to feed. Or more importantly, that you need to minister to. Maybe they're not your congregation. Maybe, hey, you're a pastor over a congregation, but hey, you also need to minister. And if you are preaching a sermon that is only for the house, don't live stream. If you are live streaming, make sure if you're serving food from your restaurant and anybody can come in the restaurant, make sure it is edible to everyone. Meaning that if you're online preaching and all you're talking to, and I can say this based off of everybody that's here, if you're preaching and your preaching is only talking to an African American congregation, you're wrong. If I'm white, if I'm black, and I go to a predominantly white church, and I'm not getting something from there, because you don't know who's going to come across your live stream. Are you preaching to the people in front of you, or are you preaching to the people that God is led to be in your path? you know, I think it's, and I can say this from being raised in a black church. I've had way too many ministers preach and they drop an N-bomb because they think they know the color of everybody in the room. And I'm sitting here like, you idiot, you're live streaming. Do you know that you probably just turned people off by saying that? Because the mindset is, I'm only paying attention to who's in front of me, not who's going to watch this later, who's going to watch this a year from now. Because how do we know with the crazy stuff that's going on here in the United States and the government? How do you not know that somebody might pass a law and your church is being held with being anti-Semitic because of what you just said? You don't know that. So why not make the message be palatable to whoever is there? That's me. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but
Yeah, and I think I said it in my presentation, that our job is, as the scripture says, and I always go back to scripture. Go ye therefore and teach. And I believe Mark says to every creature. So that's black, white, green, yellow, Hispanic, Japanese, Philippine, whatever the nationality is. It said, go ye therefore into the nation. So that right there is an open book, an open invitation to preach to everybody. And shame on those pastors. And I've been in services where it's predominantly black, and then maybe somebody said, or maybe the preacher says something that only a black person would understand, or they say something, about the man is always after us and stuff like that. And that is, I feel that's disrespectful. And I feel that you're itemizing your message to get the response back from people that might be feeling the same way. Shame on that person.
like I said, y'all have me talk too much. I'm trying to sit back and listen to y'all. I mean,
All I'm saying is, Rob, AJ, y'all better be at the conference. Come on to the conference.
Hey, I already put.
So we
I
can
already put it.
continue the conversation.
Look, I put it in the calendar right there. I
Yep.
already blocked it in
And
my calendar right there.
I'm gonna do the same thing as soon as I get to a place. I'm gonna put it all. I'll be there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I don't know who. Actually, I was getting ready to say, who was I talking to? I was like, I don't really talk to nobody. I was talking to myself. It's one of those moments that if you really sit down, at least for me, when I really sit down, sometimes I'm just like, it feels like all hope is lost because it seems like it's so much of an uphill battle to get through people. And at least for me, sometimes it feels like God is so far away that I'm just like, God, how in the world am I supposed to believe that you're in control with all this craziness going on? And then I have to sit back and remind myself, it's like, look, I don't understand everything. I don't need to understand everything as much as I wish I could understand everything. I said, you know what I'm going to do when I don't have an answer to everything? I'm just like, God, all I know is last thing you told me was to go and teach and share the message of media ministry. I don't understand why I'm helping these churches and they haven't paid their bills. I don't understand why the toilets in my house are broken again. I don't understand why I got to deal with this stuff with, the kids, family. I can be so drowned with everything. But then I sit back and think about Job. Man, Job lost everything. His wife was even telling him, why don't you just curse God and die? And I'm sitting here like, the one thing that people don't say about, at least for me, that I don't like about church, everybody always, when they preach, they talk like Joseph, Job, all the great people in the Bible, that they were happy all the time when they were going through all that hell. They never talk about, what if Joseph or some of these prophets, they've been going through so much, they wanted to kill themselves. That is true, because they were so disheartened. Like, I don't even want to even say it like this, so I'm going to talk about Job. I don't know what I would do if I saw Job lost all his kids, lost all of this, lost all this. Dude, how in the world do you keep your head up? But this is the situation that we're in. And I don't understand why all this stuff is going on. But all I know is I don't need to be responsible for that. It feels like I'm being irresponsible by not being concerned about everything. But I said, the only thing I do know is you told me to go teach. That's the clearest thing that I heard. You didn't say teach when I had this type of camera and I had this type of money and I had this, and this in this situation. So let me put my head down. Let me put my hands back on the plow. And I'm like, you know what? I don't understand this situation, but God is in your control. I'm believing that's in your control. This is what I read that's in your control. So I don't need to pick up something that's not my responsibility. Let me focus on this. And I just need to put my blinders on for right now and let me do what I can do. And then maybe then it's one thing for me to pay attention to everybody else, but I'm not doing what I'm doing. Like I told my daughter, or like when I tell churches when they talk about copyrights and stuff like that. Hey, you need to play by the rules, even though everybody else ain't. Even though everybody else isn't. If you know that you're not supposed to play music that you don't own, make sure you do that right. So that when somebody does come against you, who's not playing against the rule, you have a foot to stand on. What's the old statement? If you're always telling the truth and you're not lying, you don't have to worry about remembering the lie that you said. If you're always telling the truth. You know, so I don't know why I went on this tangent. Let me shut up. Anybody else get some other stuff talking about? What other stuff jumped out to y'all? Francisco and then Bruce.
Mr. Bruce, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Francisco.
No, go ahead. I'm dealing with my daughter.
Okay. I want to say that I was really impressed with the number of speakers, number of teachers, the subject matter, the graphic package that AJ presented to us to use optionally. I will say, as far as areas of improvement, I only had two. It seemed like I had three, but I can't remember the third one. And Mike mentioned this. When we first logged in, there was like dual audio. And found out that if you could mute the channel of the session you were going to, you only got one. I'm not sure what that was about. I'd also noticed that in the afternoon session. And one other item you may want to consider for the next session is a one-page, I call it a timetable, basically just a snapshot of your classrooms, your times, your teachers, and your subjects, just so we can see everything in one spot instead of having to scroll through the whole session list. But I listened to 3.5 of the teachers that are here. Elder Rob was a great opening, I don't say act, but a great opening session. The West, and I heard half of AJ's until I had to do my session. I will be catching Mike's, Mate's, and the rest of them. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to hopefully being invited next year or whenever the next one is, and hope everyone else got as much out of it as I did. And I will do a much stronger job of promoting it next time, because it's an awful lot of value here from all the instructors, for the producer, the facilitator. And if, I don't know how you would do it. If you put a monetary value on this, I don't know what it would be. It would be in many thousands. So as you all have already said, it's a lot of value here, a lot that we could share with each other, a lot that we could help not only our ministry, but other ministries in our neighborhoods. So thank you again.
I didn't know if Francisco was going to say something, but you said something, Bruce, that was in my mind, and you actually said it. So this is, let me make a quick pivot here. I think from business, one of the things that I've noticed with churches is we undervalue. We want stuff for free, but then we undervalue. So I know my knee-jerk reaction is I didn't want to charge $100 for the ticket, because I know some people may say, oh, that's too pricey, even though you can buy a Beyonce ticket or walk football tickets for hundreds more. But I wonder, what are y'all's thoughts on the price? Because I think when you don't understand a thing, you're bound to not appreciate a thing. And I think, Bruce, you said it yourself. Real talk, if this was an in-person conference, I really would think this would be $275 to $350, if not $500 for a conference to be in person because of what can be gained out of it. But the knee-jerk reaction is, I need to lower the price so that anybody can come in. But I learned from business, set the price higher, because if people are willing to pay the price, they have appreciated what it is. If anybody can afford it, unfortunately, people correlate that with, oh, anybody can get in, it must not be that important. What are y'all thoughts about that?
I agree, because I was talking to a friend of mine about another conference, and we were talking about the price and what they were going to charge. And people, you know, if you say it's free, they don't think much of it. But when you put a price on it, then it's like, oh, maybe I'm getting something. But it's value is different for everybody. And if you value um, information and learning, you'll pay for it.
Keith, I hadn't called on you. I saw you on here. What are your thoughts, if you're available to talk there, sir? Well, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can.
Oh, actually, I've been fighting with this driver for this microphone while since I've been on here. So I kind of been hearing bits and pieces, but I thought the conference was really good. As Bruce was saying, I believe in regards to the beginning, I kind of got the audio feedback as well, and I had a time trying to see the start times. That would be really nice if even an email to give you the times and everything of each speaker. That because I had to kind of scroll around and see who was where and when is what. So other than that, I thought it was great. The input was great, and to the video for the pro presenter, or not pro presenter, the worship tools presenter. We have the full version, and we actually, my wife runs the worship tools part, and we picked up 2 nuggets, and we actually implemented them for tomorrow. As far as and it was ironic, well, not ironic, the Holy Spirit, you know how the Holy Spirit works. The First Lady had a YouTube video to upload, and I did it the hard way. Actually did it yesterday. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way to upload YouTube videos. What I was doing a screen capture. And then I added, our little logo, bug in the corner and all that. And then today I saw the video from brother
Dominic.
And I'm like, well, I'll be doggone. I remember seeing a lot of these menus and what have you, and I saw that. I'm like, well, I'll be doggone. So I actually practiced it and did it. I'm like, it was so much simpler, obviously, and then my wife as well with the panels on adding the background. So we got 2 nuggets out of it today.
Awesome.
And both West and everybody was great. Everybody was great today, and that really blessed me. It got me remotivated. Even Michael Fair, I wish I was able to follow a little bit better, because I know how that companion. Oh man, that is. I was actually practicing at that. We have a ATEM Mini Extreme, and I was going through it. And I'm like, how do I do my lower thirds in OBS and easy? I was trying to do it easy. And I finally got it in OBS to do that companion bit, you know, with the menu and everything. So I kind of was following along with him a little bit, but that is really, you got to really pay attention to that. But so I'm like, well, when we move, we're still looking for a building over here, you know, for the last 2 years. And when we move, I'll put the ATEM Extreme in there and, you know, get the other equipment going, and then we'll use that bit companion. But yeah, like I said, everything was great today. I really enjoyed the videos and the speakers. It's really awesome. It was a blessing, really.
Great, great. Um,
Okay, I'm gonna go see if I can get my other audio driver and video driver here, because I can't get my what that's a whole different story, because this computer I'm on, you know, where I do all of my work, graphics and editing and going website setup for the church, it literally took 15 minutes to boot up. I fixed it finally the day I went in, and all the temp files, I deleted all the temp files, %temp files. I deleted all that. And there was a couple of other things in startup that I deleted. And now it starts up. I can't believe it, but I think I deleted a couple of drivers. So anyway, thank you very much, Brother AJ and all the speakers. I really appreciate you guys. And I'm actually getting re-motivated again, because for a while I was, you know, it was really getting frustrating. I have one volunteer now since we started, because I think Pastor, they knew we were starting to get burnt out, and we have a volunteer that does the streaming we're trying to get her to do it every other Sunday, but it's very limited on the lower thirds and all the fancy stuff. But she can actually do the streaming and a little bit of the in-house with the scriptures and songs. So as long as she can do that, you know, until we get other volunteers to start coming forth. And brother West, we definitely looking at waiting for that video to do the training for the new volunteers, you know. So really great.
awesome, awesome. Anybody else have anything to add? What thoughts on it? It doesn't have to be on the same subject that we were talking about.
One thing I thought would be nice, I found I did miss a little bit of what Mr. Keith had to say with childrening, but I did kind of have to bounce around a lot trying to figure out when a session was starting, or if there was a trouble. So maybe if there was like a global group chat, or not a group chat, a global leader chat, where they could post, "Hey, I'm having issues," or "Hey, this one's going to start at this time," instead of the time it's reported on the site. Something like that, just to kind of keep up with what's going on. I just kept refreshing the main session page that had all 3 classroom videos, and tried to see which one somebody was talking on to go join that.
Yeah,
But yeah, the content was great.
yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. And I think, yeah, that was kind of the good and bad about going with Squarespace. Squarespace had it built in, but I mean, while y'all were talking, I've been looking, like, they do have a calendar function, but it shows the entire calendar, and you can't break it down into like the agenda so you can see that schedule. It just shows the entire calendar, and then all of the events are crammed into one day. And I'm like, that's not good. And granted, this would be better if this was in a WordPress site. But the issue that I had with WordPress, especially after I moved everything from Bluehost, is to find one that's not hackable, and the company actually wants to maintain it instead of charging you to stop viruses from being on their stuff. Find something like that. I think that can address a lot of the stuff. Um, it's still kind of like remnants of the frustration of when paid the money for the other website that just did not come out the way it was. So the easier thing was kind of like to do that. But I thank y'all for that, the notes, because that's kind of the other thing that I was talking to Mike and some other folks, is literally to have like a dedicated technical support team for the trainers and stuff like that, as well as the like almost kind of like a global forum, like kind of built in of what's going on, like when I got the message from Josh, because I'm bouncing around everywhere. Josh sent a message that he couldn't be able to come on Facebook Messenger, but I'm looking at email and I didn't even notice that because I had to have everything open. But I mean, just for future stuff, this is what I sit back and think is way more prep time to have the next conference set up, and we need to have at minimum 3 complete dry runs of teachers going through everything. Just like we would do at service. Just, I mean, it was my fault with not pushing that, because I'm like, oh, we're all doing this. Everybody would govern themselves accordingly to practice and stuff like this. But I think just with all of this going on, especially knowing that, okay, like last year, the last time we did it, we had more teachers and people were stepping on each other because we only had 3 classrooms. And just to really get that down, to really go through, because I had a couple of people that they'll remain nameless, but they reached out and they're like, yeah, my class is in 10 minutes and I haven't even tried to live stream. So I'm literally helping them set up everything before then, you know, and I ain't gonna get mad because I'm just thankful that they're doing that. But I really think from future stuff, just based off of what y'all said, and even my evaluation is we need to have 3 complete run throughs of a session for everybody to go through top to bottom, make sure that, hey, policing yourself to make sure you can connect is one thing. Also establishing whatever, you know, stuff that we got, graphics, lower thirds, whatever, and everybody is comfortable getting connected. And hey, if you have an issue, this is the line of communication, a Slack channel or whatever that people can get over to say this message, and people are watching that. Because again, thankfully, like this year, I only have 1 class, so I could jump around to do that. But need some more people to be able to do that, just to make it the best thing. And then I need to do some more research in setting up something like a WordPress one, because they already have templates for this stuff. That would be easier. That answers all the questions y'all have with a scheduling and all this other stuff, and really making a separate classroom page for everybody. So that we won't have that echo that happens with how Squarespace just puts everybody's stuff in and you can't automatically set it to mute, and it just makes everybody's stuff play at the same time. Those are some of the things that I would think about. From a teacher standpoint, what's other stuff that y'all think that we should implement for like some enhancements and stuff like that we can do next time around? I mean, we may be able to put some of this stuff in place before August 10th. So we don't know, but what are y'all thoughts? Anybody?
I was going to say, I think you said it already. I think I heard you say it, but also for the teachers, you could have a separate number or way to contact, or basically like state, please contact me this way after this point. You know, that way you don't have to run all over the place. Didn't you have an assistant? What happened to your assistant?
Yeah, that was D. D left last year just because, like, when I had a couple of churches that didn't pay the bills. I am thankful that D worked for me an entire year, and couldn't pay her, and I didn't pay me. And I appreciate that, but obviously I can't expect anybody to work for me for longer than a year without that. So really just
Got it.
trying to rebuild so that I can actually have something like that, more like that.
Okay. And I was going to say, it might not be completely helpful to you because of the changing. Everybody's always changing, but just a simple PDF schedule, wouldn't that work potentially? Even if somebody couldn't make one session, at least it's a quick way for people to kind of refer to.
Well, I know I did put the calendar out that we did, and that was in the shared folder. So I didn't know if anybody still had access to that.
Well, for the teachers, yeah. I'm just listening to the people who are
Oh,
not teachers.
I got you. Yeah, that was kind of the thought I was gonna do, because I mean, then right when I was in the middle of getting ready to upload Bruce's documents that was in the folder, then it got pulled over, and then yeah. So I mean, this is more of like notes for as well, to like try and put this in place before August 10th. Which, before you say anything, Roz, also just making it available for teachers. We can just play your stuff again, or you can go at it again, do it live, or you can come up with a completely different topic if you want to teach that on 10th, and just let what you already done go and just teach. Like me, I'm not teaching the same thing again. I just put up my class where I'm teaching church post-production, where I'm going to be editing a church service the entire time through my class. So that is at y'all's discretion. You can teach the same thing. You can let what you already do just be replayed, or you can come up with a completely different topic. It is up to y'all. Just let me know so I can make the stuff accordingly for that. But go ahead, Roslyn, if you had anything else.
That's good. That's good. I could be wrong, but I just get the sense that you're not quite leveraging your influence and your community. I think that as I'm listening to you, I feel like if you expressed clearly what you're looking for, I mean, isn't there like over 2,000 people in the, I just feel like the people in the group will be willing to help you. They wouldn't ask for anything. And I just think everybody just genuinely, loves you with the love of Christ and will be willing to help out and serve if they could. I know that can come with challenges, but I know that from experience, you can find a few people who are faithful, who will be faithful and really follow through with what it is that has to be done.
Yeah, and
I found the same thing with a moderator, or a moderator group or something like that, so that we can distribute the work out.
yeah, and I mean, and again, I'll revisit that because I know I did have I reached out to a couple of people from designing stuff and everything like that, and it kind of fell through. And that was the reason why I ended up doing it. And then my time got limited. Then I hired Fiverr. Then that person backed out, and I was scrambling through that. So I mean, I'll give another time to go through that as well too, not just for the August 10th, but I think what I dropped the ball on last time when we did this conference was we had agreed that we were going to plan this out a year in advance so that we had more time. And then business took off, had way too more people wanting me to do installs, and all the free time that I had, I let go too much. And I think the mindset that I have is not just to talk, but also really start setting this, because I think last time we were supposed to have a Zoom to talk about planning the next time out, and that never really happened. But to really set it up like, hey, a month from now, like in October, like, hey, let's plan for the next one. So we got 8 months head start, so we can put this stuff in place, and we get people that are lined up for everything. Just like with media ministry in general, like we got some go-to people to do graphics. Oh, great. Okay, who's the second string? Who's the third string? Who's the fourth string? So if anything happens, we got 4 layers to drop back on. And then as well as for teachers. I mean, my hope in doing this conference is that we have 3 classrooms, get a lot more influence, because thankfully Vimeo has been reaching out, get enough influence so Vimeo will open up 9 classrooms at an hour. So we can have 9 sessions going on at the exact same time in different classrooms. So, say we have this conference for 10 hours, we offer 90 sessions. That's what I'd love to do. But, that's what I think. Technical support, a forum, prep work, multiple dry runs to go through, and then just really planning it out with tertiary strings of support in case anything happens, that we got at least 3 to 4 failovers that can easily step up and be standbys to fill in the gap when the inevitable issue happens. That's what I'm thinking. All right, Keith, we got the camera and the audio going there.
I
Yes,
got the
look at
camera.
that.
Can you hear me? How's it sound?
Yeah, doing good.
Looking good. Looking good,
Okay,
sir.
it sound good because you won't believe. Well, you would.
Yeah.
I had a loose connection.
That's I think that's the other thing that, and just going back to what you're saying, Rosalind, is like I'm asking y'all if there's wisdom in a multitude of counselors. How do you think, because obviously, let's back to what I was talking to at the end of my session of the last 3 points of the anatomy of the live stream. Let's be real, and let's not be so personable with our content for us to just see where it actually stinks or when the baby is ugly. Let's call it how it is, meaning that, hey, what we collectively have been doing for advertising this conference did not meet the bar of what we needed. So how can we, because I see this in my perspective that a lot of people see this conference, oh, that's for technical. It's not for ministry. It's not for leadership. It's not for this. How do we promote this in a way that it's not just for technical, but it is for anybody that has an ear to hear that wants to advance the kingdom of God in their reach? That's not just technical. I don't want this to just be, this is a technology conference. And I don't want this to be, this is just a minister conference. It is meant for moving the kingdom forward in whatever capacity, whether that's from a spirit-led, knowledge-based technology, whatever. What are y'all's thoughts on how, because I don't believe in just spamming people on Facebook, or even really buying ads like that. I will if we need to, but I'm open. What are y'all thoughts?
What you can do is you can other conferences have different tracks. So you have the leadership track and other things like that. And if we design the website to have different tracks and all of the sessions are fit into those tracks, then when people you promote them and say, okay, it's not just technical. We have the technical track, and my session would fall in the technical track, but then Rosalind's session would fall under ministry track and other things like that. And then when people go and see that, then it's okay, yeah, there's that. And then people can go and do a mixture of stuff. If they want to see all that stuff, then that might help them kind of plan what they want to get out of the conference.
Okay. Anybody else? Any thoughts?
I
was
think
going to say,
9
go
tracks
ahead.
is too much.
Say that again, Albert.
I think 9 separate tracks running concurrently is too much, because I was wanting to just, hit your session and Bruce's section, and if they were not going to be repeating, then, at least not immediately. Yeah, that's just my take.
Yeah. Awesome.
I was going to say we're just trying. We are actually instituting it now, attempting to institute it now. But I've seen it work over and over again. Bye. Shh, bye. Shh, yeah. And that is the I'm hesitating because you shh. I'm hesitating because you already do a lot with creating community. You have the Fridays, you have the roundtables, you have the community, the group, and then of course you have your teachings. She spoke the baby up. Okay, and then you have your teachings. So, but I think I feel like to know the community is to love the community. That's what I strongly sense. Even as I was trying to spread the word with people and let them know hey, and I just feel like they have to get a taste. There has to be, I guess the question is, what kind of strategy can we put in place to consider how do we get that particular target? So you've got the people who are trying to do it. They're trying to figure it out. They're going to your page. They're following you because they want to know how to do it, and they know that you know how to do it, or at least point them in the right direction. But now, how do we get these leaders? How do we get these ministries? You know what I mean? And I think that they need a nice taste, not even a nice taste. I feel like even a spoonful, and you're like, I gotta have some more. But I feel like there needs to be like some type of taste that they can get to be like, oh my God, this is the real deal. Like I need to be a part of this.
See, my thought is, and logistically, obviously couldn't do this time around, but if I was to draw this out from what I have thought about and some of the stuff that y'all have said, what I would really love to do is have a ticket be needed to come into the conference just as usual, but literally have hosts that would live stream to every single platform, and it's like the highlight show of a conference. Like, say it's a physical conference and people are sitting there like, hey y'all, hey, it's me and Mike here. We're here at the E-Missionary Conference, and as you can see behind us, everybody is here enjoying the conference. Hey, look, hey, let's bring in the West. They're getting ready to teach a class, and we interview y'all of what you're getting ready to talk about. And then it's like, all right, hey, well, they're off to their class. Hey, if you're not here, hey, you can always get the ticket and get on right now, and kind of do a highlight show of like, let me give y'all a taste of what y'all are missing. Because if you were here, it would be on point, but you're not. But let's just tease with you what you're only going to get, kind of what you said, only a spoonful of what you could buy your ticket for right now. But then, like, also when I just did Pastor Allen stuff, my whole goal is to also get a wide variety of teachers as well too, meaning that, hey, we have the technical, but we also have ministerial. And now when people see, it's like, okay, Bit Companion, what the heck is that? All right, choosing the right tech, live streaming. Okay, that sounds technical. And we did good this year because it's like, okay, the biblical importance of this, of media, the media ministries, volunteers' expectation to act. And then also, what would that do when now you have somebody who's not technical at all, and this is doctor or reverend blah 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 talking my transformation of using media ministry, and they're just talking like, look, I'm being honest, I thought this stuff was stupid, I didn't want to do this, but when I've done this is what I did. I don't have a media ministry, this is what I took upon myself, and this is what I've established with just a webcam, and I now see the importance of it, to really have not just a sympathy, but an empathy type of thing. Like, look, I'm coming from where you're at. I didn't want to spend the money. I didn't want to do that, and offer that. And then back to what we're saying, where it's like a highlight show that is still the same thing. Just like you see with like E3 is back now, but when they used to, they would have promote, oh man, E3 is coming, the Game Expo is coming, this is what we got these, let's interview these people. Hey, you're going to be at the conference that's coming up in another day. What are you going to talk about? Just give us a high, man, I'm telling you, thank you, don't give too much away because you got to save it for the conference. That almost like build up the hype and set FOMO, the fear of missing out. Like, I'm going to make this thing so big that you're going to shoot yourself in the foot for not coming. At least that's my thought. But again, the logistics of doing that is like, you need an army to do something like that. Any other thoughts or any comments? Again, I don't want to hold everybody over. I mean, I appreciate y'all's time. I want to be respectful of y'all's time. And I know I'm willpower is keeping me awake right now, because I'm right when this goes off, I'm out. But I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I mean, I really mean this. Like, thank y'all so much. Thank you for the teachers who put your time and your effort and putting your best foot forward, not for me, but for God, and sharing the message. That's what's more important. Again, the long-term vision is that this is established, not that this is based off of me, but it's established to go forward from me, to where, hey, Mike, hey, I might not make it to Canada, but guess what? Mike is hosting the Canada's branch of the E-Missionary Conference. Francisco, when y'all going to make some travel trip to your hometown, in your home country and you set up something y'all are hosting there. You know, that's what I really think this is. I don't want any one person to be the go-to person that just like with media ministry, we don't need our media ministry to revolve around one person, because if that one person is gone, everything falls apart. I don't want this mission of what we're doing to revolve around me and fall apart if I'm not here. But I want this to be replicated, and not in addition, but multiply, so that we can actually do more. And again, I just appreciate y'all's time. I appreciate y'all coming, investing in yourself, in your ministry, because, you know, like we said, share what you got. Don't keep it to yourself. Implement something in ministry. Tell other people about it. Tell other ministries about it. You know, I mean, what I'd love to do is, like, again, I want this information to be shared with everybody else. But like we talked about it before, if you don't value something, you'll take something for granted. And if you just give people a handout instead of a hand up, they won't appreciate it. So just automatically just posting this out. Yeah, I could easily press a button and now these videos are available to everybody else. But you need to develop the atmosphere of, like, nah, you have to wait 8 months before you see it. Because if you were there, oh, you got something. But, you know, you're fine. You'll get it sooner or later. You know, if you don't develop that, then you're never going to be able to establish nothing. So, any closing thought? Oh yeah, Rosin, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just want to oh, I didn't know you were going to say something. I just want to reiterate that I'm just strongly sensing from my I just have to say this because, I mean, a lot of what we do, like especially with the conference, we do it through 4ME. So I think, but what I have learned, and it's been a trial and error throughout the years, but what I have found is that you have to identify the strong leaders. You have to identify the people that are accountable, the people that follow through, the people that work well with others. And I mean, not to say that you can't give other people a try and see if they fit in that category too, but especially at this juncture, I know that you can identify the people that will work really well. And then once you can identify what their specialty is, then, I mean, you'll have people that are forward thinkers and they'll just, you know what I mean? They'll be putting things together without you. And then you don't have to, you know what I mean? You don't have to push or pull so much. Another thing that came to mind, with you were talking about the marketing, as I was like trying to market, I was thinking about copy. And I was like, maybe I should do a class on copywriting. But I was like thinking about, okay, well, if I had to write a copy for this, what's the objective? What's the takeaway? Like you said, what's the FOMO? What's the thing? What do they want? How do I, what are they going to miss? And then you have to think about all the little layers to put together to paint this picture that you should be here because of X, Y, Z. And even if you can't be here, X, Y, and Z. But just identifying those pieces, I think you have a core team right there that you probably don't have to pay.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the one thing, and while y'all are doing this, I'm looking at templates here on Invatu for like websites, and the thing that jumped out is, I need to stop acting like people ain't human, because what's the quickest way to get somebody to something? Hey, y'all, come to this conference, and every person who buys a ticket, you have the option of winning this. Is bait, but it's good bait. It's like, hey, when we get this amount of people here, we're going to be giving away, and this helps sponsorship. Hey, we're giving away PTZ cameras. And I'm sure I can get Famaco or AV Cans to do something, because at this point, every time I review something, they give me one. At least 20 people buy something. So I mean, that's your go-to for there. But literally to be like, kind of like with, honestly, I would have thought that, hey, every time I reach 10,000 subscribers, I'm giving $2,000 away of equipment. I would have thought that would be something, but it's not, which is surprising. But I mean, to get somebody and be like, hey, we got Behringer here. They're giving away a 48 channel wing to somebody. That's a $5,000 audio mixer. Oh, okay. Something to where it's like, man, okay, I got the knowledge, but wait a minute, it's only 500 people here, and I got a 1 in 500 chance to win. Oh, that's better than the lottery. I hate it to be like that, but people are people, you know. That's the other thing I just think about. I really want it to be like, hey, you're gonna get the knowledge, but somebody's gonna leave with here like, man, I went to this conference that my church didn't want to pay for. I paid for myself, and I just came back with $10,000 worth of brand new media ministry equipment. I bet you they're gonna be excited now, you know. So I mean, like I said, I think back to what I said in my session of we act like we're so holier than thou that we don't use common sense. And how do we get people to run? I mean, I didn't even know what this was all about. If y'all notice it, please educate this on me. Why was everybody buying all these tumbler cups at Target? Like, people were buying these tumbler cups and they were just in line like crazy. I say that to say that's a stupid $20 cup. And you got people, or back in the day, I'm aging myself. When I got out the military, I saw when I worked at Toys R Us, I saw ladies fighting over a Tickle Me Elmo doll. It's something that got people there. And it's literally in a good Christian way of being able to have people get to the point of like, man, I gotta be there. And just trying to figure out what that is. Like, again, I met Hezekiah Walker. I don't know if it needs to be that, hey, when you come here, you'll be able to meet some gospel artist or something. You got to put some type of cowbell or something to get people there if the knowledge wasn't enough. So I don't know. I'm sure we'll think about it and do something. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anybody? I mean, I didn't have nothing else. Anybody have any other thoughts? And I'm seeing Mr. Albert. I got a clone of me.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm toying around with NDI.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's cool. I just want to say that I'm very appreciative of this group of you, AJ, because of your initial input into our lives, that we are able to, like I think I shared it today, that we were able to start off with a webcam, then we went to a cell phone, and then you taught us things, and then you connected us with people like Mike. Mike has been a blessing, big blessing to our ministry, big blessing. And I was telling someone about him, and Hadid as well. I have to tell about Hadid. He's in Malawi. And I thought about it. I said, man, this is so ironic how you have different nations, people from different countries, different time zones, helping a little bitty of us that, we are not it's not like we have household names, not like our parents are celebrities, and stuff like that. And you just say Rosin West of the world, they're like, who is that? Francisco West, who's that? But we're just ordinary people that want to do something for God and got connected with you. And then you connected us with people like Mike. And like I said, Mike Fair has been nothing but a huge blessing to our ministry. I remember our first conference that we had, I made him the backup. I said, Mike, can you be the backup host? Because I got so many things going on here. And he said, sure, no problem. He was the backup host. Then he was helping me doing this, and he was there for all 3 nights. And he's been there ever since. And he's been a true blessing and a brother in Christ. And like I said, you too, AJ, because you gave us this platform. You helped us all out. You're the main. Your vision is why we're all here. Your vision is why we're all tuning in on Fridays to your vision is the one we go to your YouTube channel and learn about your vision that you had that caused us to elevate to where we are now, that here we are ministering to people that we don't even know, and people that, we have our discovery groups on Tuesdays where people that from other groups that's dealing with grief, and here they're showing up because of what we're able to produce. And again, thank you, sir. Thank you for like my wife said, your yes has caused all of this. And I know it hasn't been easy. I know that it's been tough and challenging, and the behind the scenes stuff can be crazy. And with us, we put on a conference. And let me also share this with you, AJ, that we have actually seen God. Like the last conference, we were in the hole. We had this place and we thought we were gonna get all these numbers, and we were in the hole big time. And it's like, oh my gosh. And then every time when when it was frustration and all this thing, and then my wife almost lost our daughter. They had they had a big storm. A tree fell down in the back of the house. And here we're trying to put on a conference, and we're expecting 200 people, and only 20 people show up. 20, literally 20. And so we have this big old empty, rented this nice ministry, and then it cost us because we were getting desperate trying to find something. But then all of that didn't work out the way we thought it. But this year, I remember telling my wife went to a conference, and I was thinking, man, that would be nice, but there's no way in the world we're going to be able to get to that place. We can't even afford that. And God, when I tell you this, God did something so strategic, so wild. The place we in this ministry we settled for this other room, which was nice. It was a nice big room at a reasonable price. God caused certain things to happen that now we're able to get the sanctuary for the price of that one room. And I'm like, wow. And I'm saying all that to say, because you were talking about this earlier about the auditorium, or the
Convention center.
Convention center. You might be thinking, again, I don't know, well, I kind of know because you and my wife are very much the same, visionaries and stuff like that. And so you might be thinking, well, God, I can, you never know. I mean, just like I had no idea that a year ago, I was thinking, wow, that would be great, but there's no way we're going to get here. No way. And then we went there and made some contacts, and I said, oh, okay, this room will be nice. And I was fine with the room. But then God caused a situation for the same price we paid for the room. Now we got this big sanctuary, and for the same price. And I'm like, Lord, it's something we can afford. So I just want to say that just to encourage you, brother. That's just to encourage you, because again, I know a little bit what goes on behind the scenes, and so you're like Moses, your hands are down sometimes. So I'm just here to uplift your hands back up.
I appreciate it.
Now, that was a good one. Huh? I got to give myself an offering on that one, but that was a good one. I'm just joking. Yeah.
Well, folks, again, I appreciate it. We no regular bi-weekly roundtable tomorrow, because this kind of acted as that. We'll have something next Sunday. Be on the lookout, teachers. Let me know if y'all wanted to just rehash what you've done, just play back the same stuff. You want to do something new. You want to just be the student and just listen. Just let me know. I'm going to be out of Dodge and not even in the state of Virginia for the next about 3 weeks. So I'm literally going to be coming in 2 days before August 10th. So I'm going to be traveling. So that's what I'm saying. Let me know, because I'm going to be doing this while I'm in Chicago and all this other stuff. I got to go manage rewiring a church in Chicago. So, well, that's then. And then we're going to Baton Rouge after that next week, then back to Alabama. Then we're going to be popping around a bunch of places. So just let me know whichever one that you want to go with, so we can get all the assets made to get those to you, put those in the folder, and we'll look at trying to implement some changes here on the website to kind of cater to that. Because most likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide that session page, and I will just have to pretty much just manually make a calendar event so that everybody can see everything, or get somebody to make one so it makes it more streamlined so everybody can see, and it will do a hyperlink to that actual page to get rid of the confusion there. All right. So like I said, y'all are open to teach the same subject if you want to do a second go around or something new. I mean, it is y'all's discretion, and anybody else. If you saw, and the nicest way I can say it, if you saw, man, if they can do it, yeah, you can do it too. If you want to become a teacher, you can sign up for that as well too. So Hope y'all all have a good night. I got to go install a sound system in the morning and crawl up under a pulpit and rewire some stuff tomorrow. So I'm already go to sleep.
So one more thing,
Yes.
AJ, the offer to have someone else listen or work through stuff with you, I think that you could be bigger than you. You can be the folks that are here on the screen, because we don't have to put it all on you. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate that. I have no issue with handing off stuff, but y'all should know me now, and y'all should know what the next statement that I say is. I have no issue with handing off stuff, but if I got to pick it back up, then I should have never handed it off.
I think you need a.
It would.
I think you need like an assistant or a manager to manage that aspect of those communications. And I'm not volunteering. I'm just making a statement. But I got volunteered for the prayer that one year. But from my experiences, I think you need, that'll be my prayer for you. You need somebody next to you who knows you enough to help facilitate these things and do the follow-up, just to alleviate that off of you, but to make sure that everything's running smoothly. Because sometimes, it's not necessarily that they wanted to drop the ball, but life happens, you forget, you're busy. Your intentions were right, but you just got off focus. So that'll be my prayer for you. But you can do this, and you have the team already.
Angela, I'm a team player, so if you want to take it, you can jump on right on. There's enough room for all of us.
Oh, you said you want to take all? Hey, you know what? Thank you for volunteering. I'm gonna go ahead and pass you this stuff so you can. No, but I appreciate it. But I like I said, I will be putting some stuff out there and making some calls and stuff like that as well too. Just because going around to August 10th, I know I don't have the time. Because I'm literally gonna be here like 3 days. So if it's not in order, we got to go whatever. So that's why I said tomorrow, since I don't have a roundtable, a lot of this stuff that is scheduling and stuff like that, I can do that because that's just the website. But once it gets beyond that, after next week, it's gonna be crunch time. So, but anyway, y'all, I hope y'all have a great night. I hope y'all got a lot out of this. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate your time. I want to make this was worth y'all's time, because if y'all gave me the time, I want to give you double, if not triple back what you got for what you invested. And I just hope that whatever you learned will just grow and impact your ministry, you individually, and just opens your mind to more possibilities. And I don't know, Roslyn, if you saw the last thing I was talking about, one if you not now or whenever you do, somebody needs to have a session on talking about not the biblical importance of media, but why God made an imagination. Because it's a lot of people that got ideas, and everybody on here has had one of those moments where you had an idea, you didn't do nothing. There was an unction in your imagination, you didn't do nothing, and then later on, you see somebody made this invent. I'll leave this one. Have y'all ever heard of the app called Hoop Triggers? It is a app that if you don't have a musician, you pick the key, and it's like a backing track for ministers. My pastor, Jay Kyle, was given the vision to make that 10 years ago, and he didn't. And now that is an app that a whole lot of churches that don't have musicians use. So
Yep.
God,
That is XME.
yeah, God gives people ideas. And like you said, Roslyn, everybody knows God's mission will be accomplished, whether it's going to be with you or through you or through somebody else. So I think that we're all given that imagination to do something. And if you sit on it too long, then it's like, okay, that needs to happen. So I'm going to push it to somebody else who's actually going to move on it. So, all righty, folks. Y'all have a good one. Time for me to go pass out.
All right.
All right,
Good night,
folks.
everyone.
Later.
Good night.